How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? I'm your pal Cal, and SunFounder was kind enough to send in their Pironman 5 Max. Honestly, for another video that we'll be testing out different home lab options in the future. There's a lot of home lab stuff coming out on this channel very soon, so make sure you're tuned in. But we'll be building the Pironman 5 Max into just a mini PC that you can leave on your desk and sort of act as a mini PC. Raspberry Pis and different single board computers can make excellent educational tools that can help teach you about Linux, learn how to use a command line, and understand Python in a much broader way than some online tutorial. Now, we're going to be putting out a lot more builds that are aimed and steered towards self-hosting because we live in a world of paywalls and subscriptions, and honestly, I am sick of it. So let's build ourselves a Pironman 5 Max. Now, to get started with this build, you're gonna need a few things first to follow along. First, you're gonna need to make sure you have 1 or 2 M.2 NVMe's. These are gonna act as your storage. Next, you're gonna need a micro SD card. If you plan on booting from the M.2, then you don't need an SD card, but I have an SD card to boot from, and there's a slot for an SD card, I'm going to use it. Next, after that, we're going to need a display. Now, the company Mictver was kind enough to send in their 10.5-inch display, and it's a really nice display. It sticks to my desk, it stays in place, it's cute, it's small, I like it. You guys are going to see it in the video. I'm honestly a huge fan, and I thank them for even letting me upgrade my desk with this little beauty, because now I can test different SBCs on my desk without having to move them over to the test bench and plug them into the TV. Now, the last thing you're going to need is a power supply. Now, hear me out. Before you go and get a regular 27-watt power supply for the Raspberry Pi 5, they just released a 45-watt power supply, and I really like this power supply. It charges fast if you plug it into a phone. It powers the Pi with way more than enough power than you'll ever need, and, well, it does the job just fine. So a 45-watt power supply is ideal. It's what I recommend, but a 27-watt works just fine. Now, to follow along with this build, you'll need a Pironman 5 Max, which you can grab from your local Micro Center, from Amazon, or from the SunFounder website directly. We're gonna grab our Pironman 5 Max by SunFounder. They have a couple of different Pironmans, but I've always wanted the Max, mostly because it comes a little bigger and it's a little sleeker than the other designs. The other designs look kind of like metallic, and this one has more of a mini Leon Lee look to it. We have a user manual over here, I believe. Yep, tells us every single piece that's on the inside. We're gonna make this super easy, just like the instructions, which are kind of vague, but for the most part, it's kind of simple to follow along. Now in the box, we get this frame right here, as well as a couple of neat little tools that'll actually help you with the build. A Phillips head, another Phillips head, and a little wrench. So the first thing we're gonna do is disassemble these two pieces that are made up of this piece, that piece, this piece, and that piece. You'll find screws on the bottom, and we're gonna unscrew these screws so that they can actually come off and be two separate pieces so we can begin to work on them. I'm gonna unscrew this one first right here. If you have a magnetic tray will really help you keep track of the screws so we don't lose them. We have to unscrew that other piece right here. And now we can separate these two from each other. Next, you find a bag of standoffs, and each one of these standoffs is labeled, and we're going to pick the ones that we need for this build first. Keep track of all these standoffs, do not lose them. First standoffs we need is M2.5 by 8. And we're gonna grab our M2.5 by 4 screws, and we're gonna need 3 screws and 3 of the M2.5 by 8 standoffs. Now we're going to put our standoffs right here, and right here, and right there. Once you screw them in, they should look like this. Now you wanna get your M2.5 by 6 standoffs, grab 2 of them with 2 screws, and you're gonna screw them right there and right there. Your board right now should look like this. Now you wanna grab your M2.5 by 5 and screw one right there and right there. So good. Pull out your SD card extender, which you'll find in your box of supplies, and carefully plug it into your SD card slot, and you should see the holes will line up with the posts. Now we're gonna grab our HDMI adapter, which also has a real-time clock that takes our CR1220 battery. So make sure you have yourself a CR1220 and carefully plug it in there and lock it in place just like that. Grab our HDMI adapter and plug it in to the micro HDMI and USB-C that you'll find on the right side of the Pi. Just carefully. Kind of shimmy it in all the way until it's firmly locked in place. Give it a quick tug very gently, and now everything's in place. You can find these HDMI adapters relatively cheap on different platforms. They give you 2 full-sized HDMI ports as well as a USB-C port and a real-time clock, which is pretty cool. This 2-pin to 2-pin JST, and we're gonna plug one in where it says battery right there. That's where our real-time clock goes. And we're gonna put it right on the other side over here. Make sure you line it up so you don't damage the pins. That is definitely possible, right about here. There we go, just like that. Now we're gonna grab our PCIe ribbon cable, and you wanna make sure that black strip is facing out and this silver part is facing in. So we're gonna pull this tab up and plug it in carefully. Make sure it's flat and firmly placed and it's even, and then we're gonna push down the latch on both sides. Now you're gonna find the standoffs that are marked M2.5 by 18+4. These are what we're gonna use to actually mount the Pi to the case. Now we wanna make sure our USB-C port is facing this corner right here, and then we're gonna line up the mounting posts, and we're gonna start on the very top right here and grab our M2.5 by 18+4, and we're gonna screw them in to the top first, the first top posts. Now you see that screw right here. This screw is actually just gonna take a regular M2.5 by 4 screw, but the last 2 posts that we need are going to go on the topmost corners of the Pi. So we wanna carefully put it in here without stripping the screw. Line it up. Now afterwards it should look like this, but we're gonna grab some M2.5 by 4 screws and put one here, there, and right there. Afterwards your screw posts should look like this. Just make sure you lock them firmly in place. Don't over tighten, like you'll know exactly when is enough. Now we're gonna grab our thermal pads, peel off the plastic on both sides. Please do not forget to peel off on both sides and place them here, there, and there. Make sure the pads are firmly in place, just like that, no plastic on either side, and it looks phenomenal. In the box, you'll find this large tower cooler, and we're going to place it with the fan facing towards the PCIe ribbon cable. So like that. Now see these posts on both sides? We want to push them into place, and they should lock firmly once you push enough pressure onto it. There we go, just like that. Just like that. Yeah, perfect. Find the insulation piece, which kind of looks like this. It should be a little strip, and we're gonna put the insulation piece right over here. Do be careful not to touch the actual sticky part of the insulation piece, and we're gonna place it, line it up perfectly, and kind of slide our finger over it carefully so that it's locked in place. This will provide excellent thermals so that, you know, your Pi doesn't overheat. Now in the supplies you got out of the box, you'll find this power switch converter. And be very careful with these Pogo pins right here, because if you bend them slightly, they will pop right off. Now on the power switch converter, you'll see these 2 Pogo pins at the top. These 2 Pogo pins go right behind these wires, right over there. So we want to get these wires out the way slightly, kind of like that, and then mount the converter on top of these mounts right here. You do want to be very delicate for this part and hold it in place and don't shift it in the slightest, because, well, it could be catastrophic, and if you lose the power converter, it's not going to be a good time. Now this is the dual NVMe adapter that goes inside the Pironman. You see we have our ribbon cable connector right here. We want to grab our PCIe 2.0 ribbon cable on this side and make sure the black side, the black strip, is facing up when we connect it. Make sure it's firmly in place, flush and flat, and then clamp down. This would also be a great time to tell you to plug in your active cooler right about here on your Pi. You should see a JST connector for you to attach it. Make sure the pins line up and don't damage the pins. Now we're gonna grab the NVMe adapter and we're gonna set it flush where this post right here sits on top of the power adapter, and these two line up with the actual posts that are in the corners, just like that. And then we're gonna grab our screws and screw it in place. Now I did completely forget about this little 4-prong adapter. You want to put this 4-prong adapter right next to the real time clock. So right on top of the CR1220, it says 5-volt on it. You want to kind of firmly place it without bending the pins. Now we grab our NVMe adapter and we line it up so that the 4 prongs actually go into the appropriate pins. Before you screw everything in place, do make sure that those 4 prongs actually fit into the female headers that are underneath the NVMe board. This is what you should have looking like so far. Everything is firmly in place and it's looking great. Now I'm going to be using a 1TB inland M.2 NVMe and I'm going to be plugging it into the one side as well as an AI accelerator right here in the second slot. To mount our NVMEs, you're going to need an M2.5 by 4 plus 4 underneath whichever post for your NVMe. Then we're going to just screw it on top with the regular screws that we've been screwing everything else with so far. So bad news, I wanted to put the LLM8850 inside here, but it does not fit. It's actually just too wide, just a little bit too wide. And if I tried to clamp it in place, it would have just broke off the post. So we're gonna grab a 500 gig and we're gonna throw it in there anyway. Now we're gonna grab this bracket and we're gonna screw the fans in place. We're gonna grab our M3.5 by 10 screws, and these are the screws that we're gonna use to screw the fans onto the bracket. Grab yourself like 8 screws. Now when you screw them, you want to make sure you line it up so that the wires are facing the left towards this bracket. Afterwards, it should look like this. Now you want to find your GPIO expander, and there's a lot of neat features on here, including an infrared receiver, which we'll find out what it's good for in a second, as well as some NeoPixels. I really like this expander. Now you should find inside this display, and this display goes into the GPIO expander. You want to be very careful with this. Don't crack it, don't break it, and don't peel that tape off just yet. You want to pull up this latch and put it up black strip facing up. Firmly place it and then clamp it down. Now you kind of want to line everything up. You'll see that there's a kind of square right here, and that's for you to place your screen. But we're going to be plugging in our fan cables to those JSTs right there. You do want to make sure that they are firmly in place. Don't push down too hard, just enough where you make sure that they're snug. Make sure everything kind of lines up. There is a slot for a camera so you can run AI vision models, but I don't have an AI accelerator and I don't plan on using this for anything AI. So we're good to go. Now, any holes you see on the bottom that are free, just screw them in with the same screws that we've been using this entire time. Now we're gonna come back to this display right here, peel off the back tape, and this square that you'll see it lined up, we're gonna kind of make sure it's centered. Make sure it's as centered as possible. Run your thumb through it, just kind of like glaze it real quick, graze it over slowly, and yeah, we're good to go. Now it's up to you if you're gonna take off your screen protector. I, for the first time, am gonna take mine off because I feel like it looks a lot better and I want it to look as beautiful as possible. Now you'll find these acrylic pads that serve as the side cover and the front cover. We're gonna peel off this brown strip. Oh man. carefully peel it so you don't rip it like I just did. Of course. If it does get stuck, just put a little bit of isopropyl alcohol and it should just come right off. Now you should grab this button and you want to unscrew the nut right here so we can actually get it ready on the acrylic panel. With the side that says Pironman, you want to feed the button in there carefully and then screw it in with the nut on the other side, just like that. Make sure you screw it in all the way. Yep, that's firmly in place. If you want to double check everything, you have this wrench. And we can tighten it all the way. Now you should see a 2-prong JST right there. That's where you want to plug in the power button. Make sure that the pins align, and we're going to carefully place it. Make sure that the alignment is correct. And if you want to be absolutely sure it's pressed in place, just carefully press the corners with a screwdriver and the other side, just like that. That's firmly in place, that's pressed down. To make sure everything's aligned, make sure the SD card slot is lined up with that strip right there, and then screw it in all those corners. Now, before we put the final touches on this, I do have to admit, this thing is adorable, and I love how small it is. Now line up the GPIO top with the actual pins and screw it in place. But make sure everything is just kind of lined up perfectly. Afterwards, your device should look like this, and I'm not gonna lie to you, man, this looks really good. Now, Raspberry Pi recently released their 45-watt power supply, and that is what we're gonna be using to power our Pironman 5 Max. Now, as a demo, I have my wireless keyboard connected with a 2.4 gigahertz dongle, and I'm using this MICTVR display that I actually really like. This recently got sent in, and I didn't think I'd like it this much, but this is an excellent display, and having something that I can just keep on the desk is pretty cool. Now, obviously, Kali on the Pironman 5 Max is not really ideal, so what we could do is flash Debian or Ubuntu and then turn this into a mini NAS or a mini server. So currently we're running Raspberry Pi OS. There's a couple of things that we actually need to do in Raspberry Pi OS before we can get our Pironman fully set up. So we're gonna go into our browser and we're literally just gonna search Pironman 5 Max config, and you'll see the SunFounder website with the docs available. We're gonna click on that, and here it'll give us exactly what to type into our terminal so we can get everything set up. Following the guide, we can literally just type in sudo raspi config, or you can copy and paste. So in the documentation, you literally just want to copy and paste exactly what it says to copy and paste right here, which is cd git clone, and it's the SunFounder's site for you to basically have the full functionality of the Pironman 5 Max. So you want to copy and paste that into your terminal. Make sure you get everything updated before you run this script. After everything is set up, we're going to reboot, and from here we can continue following the instructions. Now you have a desktop Pi built in a really nice case, making it kind of cute if you ask me. But make sure you tune in to our next video that's coming out next week on how to convert your Pironman into your own mini NAS. We'll see you next time.